Shambho Mahadev, Mahadev, Mahadev. So indeed. Dhyanam is a discrimination. Unless one is able to notice what happens with Dhyanam, why should one require Dhyanam? Dhyanam is meant for discrimination. When that discrimination power comes, Dhyanam is fulfilled. Simple. And so, that is called Dhyanam. The power of discrimination is called the Dhyanam. That discriminating what is right and wrong, good and bad, what is X and Y, what is this, what is Akasha, what is Bhumi, what is Brahman, what is Jiva, what is life, what is Jivatma, what is Paramatma. This is called the power of discrimination. So these identities with relating to no identities, when it can be discriminated when there are no identities. It's not easy, it's not that easy for a materialistic person who is living in the materialistic thinking, materialistic principles to discriminate two things. He discriminates to intelligence and emotions, and according to his requirement. That is not discrimination. What we are experiencing in the material world and material jivan through intelligence is not discrimination. It is only identification to suit our core terms and conditions. That's all. I call it as good, but you don't call it as good. If it's a Dhyanam, everything should be good and everything should be bad, whatever it is. This is why the power of discrimination is not acquired through practices or through educational training or through any other method of living, any experiences also for that matter. This power of discrimination doesn't come. It has to come. The Dhyanam has to come. Dhyanam is inherent and it has its own capabilities of it. It has to be projected, it has to be revealed. So, the power of discrimination in a normal human being who is living in the materialistic world, entangled with materials and objective world, is totally, absolutely, is revealed by the Kama Krodha Loka Moha Manamatsari. When this veil is removed, then only the Jnana Prakasham takes place. The Prakasha is already, now it is under the darkness. That's why he said about the seed of bondage. He said, he reminded us about the seed of bondage. Were you worried about not even bondage? So he is saying here, the seed of bondage is a culprit. That seed has to be removed. Because seed can be suppressed. The upcoming shoots can be suppressed, plucked and thrown out and all that. But the inherent seed inside, that cannot be taken out. That one should be able to take it out. So Bhagavan said last class that moment to moment tapasya, that is tapasya only. When tapasya is done, it becomes moment to moment only. Because it doesn't have any past. Linking with the past is the future we said. So in the 54th sloka, Maharshi says, Jati Lakshana Deshair Anyatanava Avachhedat Tulyos Tataha Pratipattihi. Jati Lakshana Deshair Anyada Vananavachhedat Tulyos mataha pratipatihi. What is pratipati? Pratipati, the attachment, pratipati, they ascertain the discrimination. It also leads to knowledge of the difference between jati, lakshana, difference between two similar objects when their differences cannot be ascertained by class, characteristics or location. Jati, lakshana, desha. And this cannot be. Through jati, lakshana, desha. When there is jati, lakshana, desha, one can always discriminate. There is no problem. This, suppose these are not there, the knowledge to differentiate between two similar objects. Samyama performed moment to moment brings awareness of reality that cannot be possibly discerned by any ordinary forms of perception. This sutra is not dealing with normal differences of objects, but in the subtle distinctions of the highest level of Prakriti and Purusha. Only a liberated sage can see such differences. Two objective differences like Purusha and Prakriti. Now when a sage, having gone under the tapasya for many years, with total detachment, with total vairagya, he only can identify the subtle differences between the two, Purusha and Prakriti. So that's the difference he is talking about. He is not talking about one material to another material, or two objects of one pen and another pen, or one camera to another camera. This is not what he is talking about. He is talking about the differences between. Now sometimes we all say that, everybody says that I am confused, what should I do? This also seems to be good. This also seems to be good. Now, what should I do? This also seems to be bad, that also seems to be bad. He is unable to discriminate which is good, which is bad. Now in order to identify what is good and what is bad, or there is no question of good and bad here. We are not talking about good and bad. I just told an example in the material life. What are the differences between the two? This identity or this identification cannot be done superficially or externally. For that matter, anything in that matter. So it's not only in spirituality, even in the materialism, the external studies or external objective differences are not the truth. They are only the expressions that has been made. In sthula bhava it has been made. And your eyes and your intelligence can get invariably deceived by various agencies, like the emotion that you are in at that point of time, and the situation and circumstances, desha kala, they all have differences. So when you look at certain things, when you have you perceive certain ideas and opinions, it's not right. It's not right at all. That is not what should be the what we are talking about, the discriminative capacity or the differences between the two. One has to undergo the subtle changes or subtle differences. In sthula bhava, one can always get confused, one can always get cheated. It's nothing like that. But how to find out the subtle difference? Like, let us say, two persons are there. One is externally appearing to be very decent and behaving nice. Another seems to be a little rough. Your identities, how will you identify the persons? The one whom you saw rough, he is bad, the other is good. What have you seen? You took a decision within a fraction of a second. You took within a moment, that is different. That he has spoken one or two sentences and you have decided that it is like this and he is like this. Pure, absolute, baseless, ignorant, decisive method of identifying objective differences in the objects with only external appearances or the impressions that you have created. That is my impression, as if you are the God. Who values your impression? I say, whether you are impressed or not. That mandir is not good because there is no chair to sit. Other mandir is fantastic. All chairs. You don't have to pray. You can go and sit. These kind of, I'm just exaggerating. This kind of discrimination is what we are looking at, which is absolutely baseless, ignorant, has no absolute idea at all. That too, in a fraction of a second, you have decided as if. And maybe lasting long for that. That impression lasts long. That is not what he is thinking about. When there is no jati, lakshana, desha, anyana, anyada, anavacheda, when these are not there, when none of these are there, tulyayos tataha pratipattihi. Tulyayos tataha. Two are tulya. That's same. Tulya. How to identify? How to discriminate? Prakriti and Purusha. How to discriminate? It will be absolute same. When you identify them. Many of them are linking with each other. Many of them are appearing to be the same. Purusha seems to be Prakriti. Prakriti seems to be Purusha. That's why there are a lot of discriminations in the material world, and they write a lot of things. You know, many people write many things depending upon their own understanding through their external intelligence. That's all. They could not find out a subtle difference between these two. What is the subtle difference between Prakriti and Purusha? Let us discuss. We have discussed quite a lot on Prakriti and Purusha. How can you find it? First of all, how one can find out? Unless one is out of the bindings which he has created, manifested himself with the bondage that he has created. Unless he is out of those bindings or bandhana. If you are in bandhana, how can you think free? So you have to be out of bandhana. When you should be out of bandhana, then you should have also absolute vairagya. There cannot be any attachment also. Even expectations should not be there. Vairagya. Vairaga, attachment, and vairaga, expectations. That is also attachment, but we classify them. It is not only that the attachment that is prevalent with you physically or mentally, but also the attachment which you are expecting to be happening to you. It's also vairagya. So one is liberated from that bondage and from the expectations and from absolutely the one who has got liberated from all this. There are no entanglements to a sage. He is a sage. When he is liberated from all this, he is known as a sage, sannyasi. Because he has reached the tip of, or the threshold of satyam. It's called sage. Samnyasa. He has arrived there. When he has reached the threshold of satyam, he will be in a position to see satyam. where asatya is no more influencing him. Asatya is not attracting him. Asatya is not establishing in him. Asatya is not the medium for him to identify and discriminate. When such a liberated sage, when such a liberated sannyasi, when such a liberated soul, such liberated Atma only can identify what is the subtle changes or differences between two similar objects which doesn't have jati, lakshana, desha, anyantastaiva. With all those things, with all those measuring yards, you cannot measure. They are immeasurable. The immeasurable ones has to be measured. Is what he's talking about. The immeasurable has to be measured. They are immeasurable because they are looking same. Measurable ones, you can definitely measure those which are measurable. Desha, Kala, Akasha, Bhumi, Samaya, everything can be measured. They are all in your limitations. You have instruments, you have mental instruments, physical instruments for them to be measured. So through that, Kala, Desha, Avastha can be identified and the differences can be identified by you. That is only for those which is falling under the categories of, those are categories of measurable. Samaya Kala, Simit, Asimit, Asimita Bhava, Asimita Swabhava, in which Asimita Swabhava is there, that cannot be identified. How will you identify the Akasha in this spot and Akasha in this spot? Bhumi in this spot and Bhumi in that spot. How will you discriminate that? How will you identify that? What are the differences? What is the difference between the Panchabhutas? You will identify them only through measuring scales. And it's Swabhava. Swabhava is measurable. When it is not there, these Bhutas cannot be identified. It has to go into the subtle characteristics of those things, then only it can be done. In order to know the subtle Swabhava, the Sukshma Bhava of that object or of those subjects, one has to become Sukshma. The principle of mouse, Vahana of Bhagavan Ganesha. He is so small. Identifying that his Vahana, Bhagavan's Vahana, is that which is absolutely subtle, which can get into and penetrate into subtleness of the Swabhava of the object and can identify what is inherent in the subtleness there. By looking at the seed, you will know how the plant will grow. The good farmer, when he takes the seed and says that, no, this will have only so much of cultivation. And he sees that, he will say that, oh, these are good. This can fetch quite a lot of harvest, no doubt about it. Like a farmer can, just seeing the seed, can predict what will be the result of this when it is sown and when it is grown. Same way, the sage or the one who is in the Sukshma Bhava, that you know the characteristics in the Sukshma Bhava, then when it is grown up and when in the subtleness, how it would look like, he can say that is the quality, is why Bhagavan Vinayak's Vahana is mouse. He, that means he travels, Bhagavan Vinayak He uses the vehicle in the sense he moves to identify things in the subtle bhava, not in the sthula bhava. In the sthula bhava, there are so many variants which are manifested, which are manipulated, which are swabhava, which are original, which are not original, with environments which kala desha, many other wear and tear has taken place, so it doesn't appear to be that. But then he has to know what is it. The guna in the seed can be known, should be known. Then only you can do the right harvest. This can be done only by a liberated sage. The one who doesn't have any false inhibitions, any false limitations, any false selfishness, any attachments, bandhana, none of them are there, then only he will be in a position to open up towards that subtleness, that secrecy. That secret door can be opened only when you have isolated yourself from the identities that you have created or manifested during the process of living in Jivatma. This has to be identified. Then only you will be in a position to see that. That's why we all say that, oh, I want to see God. Everybody says, I want to see God. Why are you not able to see God? Because you have bondage. You are not liberated soul. You are not liberated sage. Only a liberated sage can see that godliness or those inherent qualities of those subtle qualities in that. And Purusha and Prakriti have to be identified only through subtleness, because their external form is Virata, it is Ananta. You cannot see from one end to the other end. It's not possible. So will you discriminate it? In order to discriminate that, godliness or Purusha or Prakriti or any of the qualities in the Guru, in the God, in Tattva, in the Shastra, in Vedas, in Upanishads and Tattva Shastras, you have to go into the subtleness of it. A sutra, when it is read externally, simple thing. When a sutra, when it is externally gone through, and each and every word you can correctly put a meaning to it, it will not make any sense to it. You will not be in a position to understand what is the meaning of that sutra. That's why it is known as sutra. Sutra is that, Sikasi Sutra. There are so many meanings for sutra. Sutra is also a small thread. Sutra. Sutra is also a small orifice, a hole orifice. Is also sutra. Sutra is also that which is a sutra is also that which is not normal. Is also sutra. Like that, there are so many meanings for sutra. So to identify that or to utilize that, to discriminate that sutra, it is as thin as the sutta. That word has come from sutra only. No? Sutta, okay, that's in Hindi, no? Sutra. That's sutra. Sutra is that thin. See, now how to identify that? How to discriminate it, the swabhava of sutra? It's not possible. When you break it, you don't see anything. Now, in order to identify that this is made out of cotton, this is made of this is how it is, or silk, or this, is a subtle discrimination. By looking at it, the yogi who is not attached with any of these expectations of that or utility of the intelligence, he only can identify this is that. Because he can see through that subtleness of that swabhava, that he being not bound by the materialistic attractions and attachments, he is not bound by the affections and other manifested and manipulated emotional changes and disturbances and facilities. He can only identify those which are the qualities of the sutra. That's why from the sutra to derive the meaning of that, that's why the whole Vedas are in sutra only. You may find just literal meaning, you may find it is practically not much. And when you identify the literal meaning of that, you cannot find anything. One simple sutra, just for example, is equivalent to one book of Upanishad. Sahasrashirsha Purushaha Sahasrashat Sahasrapad. Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha is equivalent to one complete Upanishad. Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha. The Purusha, the Purushaha, or the eternity, or the omnipresent or omnipotent, as we said about that. Sarva Shaktiman, Sarva Jnani. Purushaha, that who is everywhere. Purushaha is also everywhere. Who is everything. Who is everywhere. That who is everything and who is everywhere, he is Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. Sahasra Shirsha. Sahasra Shiras is there. Shirsha has got many meanings. Shirsha is also Shiras. Shirsha is also principles, Tattva, Shirsham. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. Thousands of heads, thousands of principles, thousands of ideologies, thousands of ideals, is the one who is having, is the one who has got, who is known as the Purusha. Now, what are these 1,000 Shirsha? Starting from Shirsha 1, Shirsha 1,000 explanations are there. What is the Shirsha 1? What is the Shirsha 1 is that? What is the Shiras? What is Shiras? Shiras is a head. Head means that which is on top. That which contains buddhi, bodham, emotion, mana, indriyas, shakti, and illusions, hallucinations, and all this called the head. What is the head? How the head has been formed? How these 1,000 heads have been divided? Why there are thousands? Why there are not 100? Now, what is the reasons of Sahasra? Why not Shata? Sahasram. Sahasram is 1,000. 1,000 in the sense numerous, actually, thousands. And also Sahasram is also 1,000. We can say that. Also Sahasram. There is another way, Saha. 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 That which is associated with the Dhyanam is called Saha, means associated. Sahasram. So those heads which has got all these knowledge and Atma and ideas and intelligence and all that, associated with the Dhyanam, is it? Saha. Saha means associated. Sa means again Dhyanam, Akasham. That is, Sa is also Akasham. Sa is also the Dhyanam. That which is associated with the Dhyanam. But if that is associated with the Dhyanam, in each and every head, why so many bifurcations are there? That Dhyanam, which is associated with all these things, what is called that Dhyanam? Is that Dhyanam same in all the Sahasra? Is it equivalent to all the other particles that is divided into Sahasra? Then he says, in Purushaha, since it is one, Purushaha, that's Purusha, that which is absolute, Sahasra in one. So if Sahasra is in one, this is how the Chandogya Brahatarya Upanishad is. Cannot make out head and tail. If Sahasra is in one, see how beautifully he derives sutras, no? If Sahasra is in one, the one is in Sahasra. He is Purusha. So he has established one factor, that in all the 1,000 Sahasra Shirsha is one, Purusha is all there. Now how is the Bible? Like this. He'll keep on explaining about the whole one complete Upanishad can be identified with that. This is what is called Sutra. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. Shirsham. Shirsham is also principle. Shirsham is also a saying. Shirsham is also an example. Shirsham, Shirsha is also Shirsha is also head. Shirsha of an article. No? What is that? The title of an article. It's also Shirsha. Shirsha. So, what is the title of that head? Like that, you divide them into, you just break them into small particles that threadbare identifications, then you will understand the whole identity of the Dhyanam is in this one word of Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. Sahasra Aksha Sahasra Pad. Sahasra Aksha, 1,000 way of seeing. What is called seeing? If there are Sahasra Shirsha, there will be Sahasra Aksha. Not 2,000, 1,000 again. Sahasra Aksha. Sahasra is also multiple. Sahasra is also numerous. It can be done like that also. Aksha, Sahasra Aksha. These 1,000 heads or 1,000 shiras, 1,000 shirshas will see things in 1,000 ways. Sahasra Aksha. Through the Aksha, 1,000 ways. But even though these are seeing through the Sahasra Aksha, all this what the Sahasra Aksha is seeing is coming to this faculty of the Shiras, Sahasra Shirsha. All these are coming to Sahasra Shirsha. When it comes to Sahasra Shirsha, how this identification of the Sahasra Aksha is identified there is what Aksha seeing is right. And what is Aksha seeing? First of all, what is the Aksha seeing? And what is called seeing? If it has to be seen by the Aksha, that which is there inherent in the Sahasra Shirsha, it has to be associated with the principle Shirsha. It has to be through the principles that Aksha will be seeing. And when Aksha is seeing those principles, and those principles are converted into the ideology of the Brahma Sutra, Brahma Shastra, Brahma Tattva in the Sahasra Shirsha, in the Shirsha, where it is controlled by the Purusha, where one in everything. This everything, when it is identified, the Aksha will discriminate this, what has been procured, to the Shiras, and this Shiras will identify them as X. Ultimately, even though the thousands Shiras, Sahasra Shirsha, even though through the Sahasraksha, even though they are multiples of thousands, it is seeing. These multiples of thousands will be analyzed in multiples of thousands in the Shirsha, and that multiples of thousands in the Shirsha will get associated to Purusha, because that is in 1000. When thousands and one is in the 1000. From here only the derivation of the Paramatma and Atma has been derived. So the Atma he has divided into 1000. Paramatma he has divided into 1. The 1 in every Atma. Every Atma is in the 1 Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. Sutra. I did just telling you a small example. It's not an, this will, you can explain about 2-3 hours. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. Only what that word. It's no end. Sutra. Sukshmata. So where you have to go now? Out. Even with little knowledge of mine, I just took about 10 minutes or 15 minutes only for this. So you can imagine how the great tapasvis and jnanis will derive and then identify this sutra and multiply this sutra into how many things. How many Upanishads he must have created only with one sutra. So is that. So, what did I say? Yes. So what happens? We have to discriminate. Spirituality is that which has got a wonderful thing, identity in this, that spirituality is that which is absolute, which goes only with truth. There is no assumptions or imaginations or those which are not truths. This is only on truth, and it has to be established only on truth. Even though there are 1000 ways, 1000 means, 1000 practices people are doing, but everything has to end into the one. There is no doubt about it. The end has to be only to one, whichever may be practice you are taking up, but end has to be one. Whichever is the right one, whichever is the faster one, best one, has to be chosen. Some are very long path, some are very complicated path, some will go zigzag. Those things are not right. Those things are not right in the sense it takes number of ages. Right? But the right way of identification of that should be done through the method. That's why he said, what is the true method here? The true method is nothing other than the sage who has Nissangato, that's all. With one word, he has closed that. Any other practice now, he's not telling any other things. Any other than this will not lead you towards that. Any other than this you have to keep on practicing and come to the status of this Nissangato and the seeds of bondage. Identification of the seed of bondage. Nissangatva, that has to come at one point of time. When Nissangatva comes, then only it will be a satsangam, and that satsangam also will get vanished when the sangha gets diluted into sat. The sangha gets diluted into sat, the satsanga gets diluted. But no other can get diluted like that. Only in Sat Sangha, the Sangha can get diluted into Sat. So when it is diluted into Sat, that is Ekam, that's the only Satyam, that's the only Satyam that is prevalent in the universe, that's called the Brahman. Identification of the Brahman. This is what he is coming to. So in the subtle level, the discrimination power. So let us not misunderstand about the discrimination power. It says something as good and something as bad. That is not the discrimination. Good and bad, there is no word called good and bad in spirituality. First of all, the good and bad has been identified only for your convenience, to suit your emotional requirements. That's all. It has no basis. The good and bad has no basis. They are personal preferences. Personal preferences are not principles. No. Personal preferences are absolutely, they are not principles, they are your emotional settlements. It's not permanent also. It's an emotional settlement. What do you mean by settlement? Settlement is that, what's the meaning of settlement? Settlement is that you settle for a price, you settle for a cause, you settle for a result, you settle for a particular emotion for that particular period of time. It's called emotional settlement. This settlement can be changed. Every time your emotion changes, your settlement is different, is it not? I agree with it and I disagree with it. And I disagree with it and I agree with it. Different settlements, is not? 1,000 times I think every day we must be doing this. 1,000 settlements, emotional settlements. How can you discriminate? Is it a power of discrimination? If there is a power of discrimination, why so many changes in our life? Why so many changes in our thought? Why so many discrepancies in our thought? Why there are so many identification and illusions in our thought? Why are we not able to establish the right way of thinking, right way of practicing, right way of being? Because we are discriminating it superficially, not in the subtle way. That is the reason behind it. So if I can do a discrimination in the subtle way of something, with whatever it is, XYZ, there will be no change. There will be no change. Fifth sloka, Bhagavan continues. Tarakam sarvavishayam sarvadha vishayamakramam cheti vivekajam jnanam. Tarakam sarvavishayam sarvadha vishayamakramam cheti vivekajam jnanam. The highest knowledge born of discrimination, tarakam, discrimination. Sarva Vishayam, complete, everything has been taken, the highest knowledge born of discrimination. Sarvatha Vishayakrama means transcends all. It perceives all simultaneously in time, space, and transcends all, even the world process. It transcends everything, time, space, and everything. Naturally, when a discrimination is done, the transcending of time and space has to be there. Otherwise, it will become measurable. When the perception of time and space is there, they are all measurable. That which is included in time and space, they are all measurable. Time and space. So it has to be samaya kala atita. Then only it becomes immeasurable. So that's called transcending. So the all-pervading knowledge, tarakam sarvavishayam, the highest knowledge is born of discrimination. What kind of discrimination? Sukshma, kala, discrimination, and transcends all. Samaya kala perceives in all simultaneously. Everything is perceived at the same time, simultaneously. There, the study is not, the Brahma Jnanam or Brahma Sakshatkaram happens in a fraction of a second and all together. It is not that, chapter 1, Brahman is taking a bath. Chapter 2, I can say Brahman is dressing up. No, not like that. Brahma Sakshatkaram. So, Pratyakshanubhava. That's called Brahman. That's called Sakshatkara. It's a fraction of a second. It's not a kramam. Why? Kramam is not there. Why? Kramam, in a kramam what happens? There is past, present and future. Trikalam is there. Kala is there. Time is there. And then space is there. So Kala, Desha, Samaya. Space is Samaya. Kala, Desha, Samaya. Beyond that, when it is beyond that, it transcends all at the same time. Perceiving of that knowledge, Brahma Jnanam is at the same time. It's not that gradual. This can happen only when you have power of discrimination. And the power of discrimination can be there when you do not have the identity of the seed of bondage. You have identity of the seed of bondage. Or the bondage is no more there. You have vairagya. When the vairagya is there, then only it is possible. How can vairagya come? Vairagya can all come through the jnanam, practicing of jnanam, through the ashirvadam, through samarpanam, through upasana, through nididhyasana, then only you will have egolessness. The ahankara, adhinan, the one who is adhina of the ahankara will always have the deshakala identity, and also the power of discrimination will not be there in egoistic processes, in egoistic functions. They are only available. The discrimination can be available according to the Upanishad. Now we saw that it is available, it can be ascertained or it can be attained, it can be passed through, it can be perceived only when you have vairagya. Taragam, sarva vishayam, total knowledge, absolutely all together. It's not that one vishaya to another vishaya, nothing. Sarva vishayam at the same time. Taragam. Sarvada vishayam akramam. Not kramam. Chete vivekajam jnanam. That's called the jnanam. And in that jnanam, that's why I said sahasra shirsha purusha. That thousands of the jnanam is in one, and one is in everything. When one is in everything, that is why they are divided into thousands. You cannot have thousand there. So when you looked at the subtle changes or subtle discrimination or the thousand, Sahasra Shirsha, when identified Sahasracham, when the shloka continues for quite long, and it is there somewhere, it comes to that. When it is through discrimination power, you identify through thousands, and when you have detachment and when you have vairagya, when you have ascertained all the emotional imbalancing of these things, samaya kala vityasa in all these things, thousand means samaya kala vityasa. That's why the multiples of counts. These multiple counts, sahasra shirsha, this sahasra shirsha will become purusha after the dead. This will vanish into it because it has come from one. Ekam, from Ekam only, and Ekam has come. That's the principle of world, we all know it. From one cell, only multiples of the whole cells have come in the body. From one seed, only one tree has come. From one tree, only thousands of fruits have come and the seeds have come. From Ekam to Anekam, Sahasra Shirsha. Even though Shirsha is Sahasra, it appears to be Sahasra, but the Sahasra is not Sahasra, it is Purusha, it is one. So that what you are seeing as thousands, now another derivation from that sutra, that what you are seeing as thousand is not thousand, it is your ignorance that what you are seeing it as thousands, but all the thousands are only one. That is why Adi Shankara said, Jagat Mithya. Now where we have come? From that sutra. Jagat Mithya, he said that. What you are seeing as a Jagat, Jagrata Avastha, a person. Now this is how the sutra is divided. In the Jagrata Avastha, what you are seeing as thousands, they are not thousands, But in your swapna, in your sukshma, sushupta avastha, the thousands that what you have seen is only one Purusha. So in the Jagrata avastha, sahasracha, you have thousands of eyes in the Jagrata avastha. But actually what happens? When in the Sukshma avastha, in the Sushupta avastha, or in the Sukshma avastha, or in the Tapasya avastha, what is that? What thousands of acha is only seeing only one ekam. That is Purusha. Is how the Mahan, the Vikti, the great Maharshis have described the Upanishads. Brihadaranya Upanishad is that beautiful that it starts from the head of a horse. First few pages, one will be absolutely lost. Nothing can be lost. Ashwam has been identified as, I have told you also earlier also I think, Ashwam is identified as Buddhi. Meaning of Ashwam is also Buddhi. So it begins. Okay, that's called Sutra. Now why I did say that? Because you will not be able to have the capacity of discriminating in the Sthulata, in the Sthulavastha. It will be thousands, sahasra, shirsha. In order to have the Ekam, you have to become the Ekam. This is what I have talked about it. In order to identify something, you have to become that. If I have to see the Parvata, I have to become the Parvata. Mentally, not physically. That's what means that. When I say the Parvata, because when I am seeing the Parvata, actually when I am the Parvata, then only I can see the Parvata, but it is identified as separately. When you are seeing the Parvata, it's the same thing. Sahasra, Harsha, Sahasra, Shirsha, Purusha. It's the same method. That what you are seeing, when you are seeing the Parvata, you become the Parvata. That means all details of Parvata you are identifying and your mind is full of that Parvata only. What is that? What now? Both are there two? Parvata and me, are they different? No, they are one. Sahasra Acha. Even though through the Acha you are seeing Sahasra thing, what is the one? What is that? It is Purusha, it is God. This is the meaning of it. So, you have to become that what you, in order to see that. If you want to see something in the subtle swabhava of it, you have to become that. Yes. It's not a fiction. Everywhere you will find it. In all the descriptions of Upanishad you will find it. Prashna Upanishad, as I always quote Prashna Upanishad, the 6 disciples. First he saw the Guru as this Sthula Bhava, Sahasracha Sahasrabhava. I am again relating to that because it's a complete Tattva principle. Gradually, after discriminating one after another, identifying one after another, through the knowledge what happens, he started identifying the Sthula Avastha has been removed. So slowly and gradually, each and every step the student, when he grew up, the disciple when he grew up, he renounced those statuses. Nisangatvam has come to that. Nisangatvam means renunciation. Renunciation of that, Nisangatvam, no association with that, no bondage with that. Gradually, no bondage, Nisangatvam, Nisangatvam, Nisangatvam. At last, what happened? From the Sthula Avastha of the Guru, who is Rishi Vipalada, it has become Bhagwan Shiv. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. Is how it is identified. So what happened? Where it has changed? Is Rishi Pipalada changed? No. Rishi Pipalada has not changed, it's the same only, no. You started, initially the disciples started looking at him in the Sthula Avastha and identified him as something else. When he started, removing all this, and then he started seeing only through one perspective, and through that one perception of the true knowledge, then he saw him as the one, the only one. Said that this is what I identified. At that point of time, he and that one, everything is only one. There is no difference. Dharakam sarva vishayam. So, at that moment, he saw the oneness. He saw the absoluteness. In that oneness, all the thousands contain. All the plentiness contain. That's why Vishwarupa Darshanam has been based on Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. Let's see, the Vishwarupa has been described by Bhagavan Krishna based on this sutra. The Suktam, they call it as Purusha Suktam. From that only he derived about the Vishwarupa Darshanam. In Vishwarupa, there are thousands of things. He wanted to see what is your Vishwarupa. So he said, these are all Vishwarupa. Now, which one will you accept? He said, no, I don't. All this put together is me. So when you look at me, you are not seeing this thousand. Or when you are looking at this thousand, you do not identify me. You have thought, Arjuna said, I am scared, hey Bhagavan, you come into the previous posture only, and I would like to see that only, because this I am not able to identify. This I am confused, I am scared, I am worried, I cannot control myself, I am getting absolutely baseless. So please come back to the form that I would like to see. So even though from that one only, he showed him the Sthula Bhava of him. That means Sthula Bhava is that in everything there are thousands of heads. Sahasra Shirsha, Sahasra Chasas. So in order to identify him, he had to have the absolute tapasya. Then only he will be in a position to, when he is looking at the thousands, he will see that one. Arjuna saw thousands of heads of Bhagavan, and one Janma is going on, one Marana is going on, one is Agni, one is Vayu, one is Tattva, one is Principle, one is Loka, one is Mrityu, everything he is seeing all that. But a tapasvi who is sitting thousands of miles away and doing in tapasya, through his jnana chakshu, he saw Bhagavan Vishnu. In this thousand, he saw one. In all, you must have read that, no? That when Vishwarupa Darshanam takes place, people who are adharmis have started destroying themselves, burning themselves, destroying themselves, dying themselves and things like that. And the Maharishis and Tapasvis are rejoicing that ultimately we have seen. Through that Jnana Chakshu, he did not see thousand heads there. Through that Jnana Chakshu, the great Tapasvi, great Jnani, who has the power of discrimination, he saw these thousands as one. But the one who doesn't know about one, he saw the one as thousands. That's why the human being is praying to so many Devi Devatas, 36,000 Devi Devatas, only to establish its own one. Cannot understand. It's not possible. This has to have discrimination. This is called subtle discrimination power. Who can identify all are same one? Only the one who is one. Like Tapasvi, the Jnani, who identified the Sahasra, the Vishwarupa, is only one, that Mahavishnu, and he rejoiced on that, seeing it, because he has got the Ananda status at that time. Not out of pleasure, but out of Ananda, because he has become that one. So he became in Ananda, state of Ananda. This is called Vishwarupa Darshanam. That is Vishwarupam. Sahasrashesha, Sahasrapada, Sahasraksha. Vishwarupam. That's called the Stula Bhava. We are all the Stula Bhava. The Jagat is the Stula Bhava of that Ekam. Now, in order to identify, when Shankaracharya said Jagat Mithya, the Stula Bhava is there. Thousands of heads are there. Okay, the one who is seeing it. But the one who is seeing it, in all the thousand, it is the one which is prevalent. So he sees the one which is prevalent in that. Is why Ekam, is why the Brahman, is why the Tapasvi. Only Tapasvi could do it because power of discrimination. So power of discrimination comes only through that, not by the education or practice or by reading or by hearting in Vedas also. This will not come unless the transcending effect has to take place in you. The time when through the process of what? Samarpana, Dhyanam and Upasana and Nidhyasana. Through this you will be in a position to attain that Nisangatva Bhava and the Sangatva, the attachment, the true detachment. What is the true detachment, as I told you? Detachment without any visions and selfishness. That's called the Nisangatva Bhava. When it comes, then only you will find that Ekam in that. When discrimination is perfected, the yogi transcends time, space and causations. Karya Karana Vedam will not be there. Samaya Kala or Karya Karana Veda, nothing comes there. There is no causation, there is no Samayas. There are no barriers for him. Which means he has gone unlimited. There is no immeasurable. There are no barriers for him. In unlimited. All of eternity and infinity are available to him. What is eternity? Eternal means what is eternity? Anantam. Eternal means Anantam. Anantam. Sanskrit meaning Anantam. What is infinity?
Limitless.
Finite, infinite, immeasurable. No. Immeasurable. Finite is what? Measurable. Finite means that specific, measurable. Infinite is that immeasurable. So infinity or infinity, I don't know, infinity, or available to him. Anantam is available to him and immeasurable is available to him. That means what? He is not bound by any barriers, neither time, nor space, nor causation. So infinity and eternity is available. This is why he is said to be God-realized person who doesn't have limitations, who doesn't have limitations, who is entangled in limits, and who doesn't have, who has attained the Anantata, no beginning, no end, Anantam, endless, beginningless. Neither something has started nor something has ended. There is no end and there is no beginning. I am the part of it. I have no end, I have no beginning. The one who has identified that, what can prevent him from anything in this universe? Nothing. Is there any present, past, future for him? When Ananta has come, eternity has come, when infinite has come, is there any Kala there? Is there any restriction there? Is there any bandhana there? Is there any emotion there? Is there any attachment there? Is there any holdback there? Is there any holding there? Is there ownership there? Possessiveness there? The one who doesn't have anything but has everything. He is the sage. So, we will take 56 next week.